Hey, what's going on, everybody? I just wanted to share my recent experience on a flight that I had, and it is essentially how I controlled my fear. Now, I've had a lot of different experiences having to overcome fear. One time we had an emergency landing, I think it was in Dallas, and I was completely at peace for that experience. And then I also had another experience that was literally 2 days ago on my flight from Europe back to Las Vegas. And I'm sharing this with you because I'd like to help for people that have ever been afraid of flying or people that get fearful during turbulence. Um, this has helped me. This technique I'm about to share with you has helped me in multiple occurrences. And I was literally talking to a friend of mine who was dealing with anxiety before my flight. And it's kind of funny because the way that I overcame the fear that I felt was through the triad. Now, the triad is something that I learned from Tony Robbins when I was 18 years old, and I've used it my entire life. More so, I'd say, in the last decade or so, but I've known about it for most of my life. But putting it into action is not always easy. Sometimes it takes repetition and intensity and commitment, right? So I'm going to share with you what happened and how I dealt with it. So, knowing this on my flight on Sunday, I get on the airplane. And before I got on the airplane, I listened to something that was kind of disturbing. And it basically had me a little bit more fearful than usual. And I've traveled the world multiple times. I've lost count how many times I've flown back and forth from not just Europe, but Hawaii, Mexico, and other parts of the world here nationally and internationally. Now, it's technically very safe to fly, despite all the flight issues that have happened this year in 2025 so far. It's February 18th, 2025, and there's been like 60 plus air flight accidents and stuff like that. But um, anyway, so in observing what happened to me, I realized that I was pre-framed based on the programming that I'd given myself the night before. And with that in mind, I asked the Lord to guide and protect me before my flight. And not only that, I journaled the night before about having a smooth flight. And then part of me, I believe, had to overcome the fear or had to feel fearful a little bit to, you know, I believe I overcame this experience because of my faith. Okay, so despite my fear, I did it anyway, and I got on the plane, and everything was fine. And but there was one part of the flight, and this was a great. It's called a pre-frame in psychology. So the pilot said that there was going to be turbulence 2 hours into the flight, but I slept through most of the flight. It was a 10-hour flight. And then when I woke up from my nap, I went to the back to see if they had passed out the drinks already. But right when I walked back to the back of the plane to ask if they had some drinks or whatever, there was major turbulence. And major meaning the it was enough to kind of rattle me a little bit energetically from like it got me from being comfortable walking to the back to going to being like, oh shit, I gotta get back to my seat. So I talked to the stewardess. She's like, you gotta get back to your seat. I went back to my seat and put on my seatbelt and just went into like prayer because sometimes when you let your fears overtake your physiology, you can feel it throughout your whole body. And so what I did was I just took deep breaths. So it's a 6 count in. So it's 6 seconds up and then 9 seconds release. And so that's what I did. So I recalibrated my physiology. Okay. So going into what I mean by the triad basically says what you focus on is how you feel, and how you feel is how you act. And all three of those together is your overall emotional state. So, me knowing this, I was journaling first part of the flight. I deleted all of my music from my iPhone because I was running out of memory from all the videos I took traveling through Europe. And anyway, I didn't really care about that. I just let it go. I have audiobooks on there that I was learning and studying from. But for some reason, emotionally, that wasn't doing it for me. I still kind of had that little twinge of like little fearful inside. And so what I did was I just remembered the tryout again. Again, what I focus on is how I felt. So what am I focusing on right now? Well, kind of, I'm relaxed now that I took those deep breaths. So what do I want to do next? And so what I started doing was I just started looking through the movies. And so I usually don't watch movies. I usually love going into to the to the air and journaling and thinking about my goals and dreams and all that stuff. And I do that so often in my life that's part of who I am. So I didn't feel like doing the goal setting stuff or the journaling stuff or the audiobooks or anything like that. I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to go entertain myself. So I go into the movies and I find that there was, I believe it was Superman, the Man of Steel, that came out a few years ago, like 2015 or something like that. And I just had a fun time because my childhood hero was Superman, and Superman being able to fly. And despite the dialogue kind of mirroring what was going on, like the danger and like feeling exciting, kind of getting wrapped up into the movie while it simultaneously was like a 3D effect with the plane turbulence. It was hilarious. And kind of playing a little bit on the fear, but then Superman comes out like boom. It was like so empowering and so much fun and so beautiful to just tap into the magic that hope brings. And that S stands for hope in that movie. And so I just had such a fun time watching that movie again. I'm just a huge Superman comic book fan. I love stuff like that. So I just got super into the movie. And then when that movie ended, I was still in the mood to watch another movie. So I watched another one, like I think it was called The Wallflower or something like that. Benefits of Being a Wallflower, which was super cute movie. It was like about a high school kid and just being super shy. And I was really shy growing up and really introverted. And so I could totally relate to that guy. And what he was going through. Went a little bit deeper. He had a harder childhood, according to the storyline, but I just loved it because it just took me back to childhood and being a teenager who was shy and overcoming my fearfulness and stuff like that as a shy, introverted kid most of my schooling. And then after that, I watched The Flash. So The Flash was another super cool movie that I really enjoyed. And yeah, and surprisingly, the one of the Flash was actually the kid that was in the Wildflower movie or the Wallflower movie, and it was so fun because he was such a great actor. I mean, the guy was just had a great range of characters in the Wallflower movie, and then he was the main character in the Flash. And I was like, wow, this guy's really cool. I liked his vibe. He was super fun and just got me out. So the whole point of me telling you about all this is because it got me out of myself and it got me focused on something that was empowering, something that like just it took my mind off of what I was presently experiencing. And so by recalibrating my nervous system, I was able to see, okay, what do I want to do? If it's not reading, if it's not writing, if it's not, I can't walk around because I'm in the chair. So what I did was I just picked a movie. I picked a fun movie that I thought, would make me smile, and it did, and laugh, and inspired hope and all of these wonderful feelings. And so I just feel so grateful that I was able to, number one, survive the flight, number two, watch these great movies, and number three, just tap into the feeling of hope. And those feelings of hope, they just stayed with me. And so when I landed, I felt so grateful to be alive. And I called my family and, just so grateful to just be there, going through and experiencing everything that I did. And so yeah, physical movement, I can't stress that enough. So I physically had to touch the screen to watch the movie. So what was I focusing on? Watching the movie. What did I do? Click the movie button on there, played the movie, and just focused just on watching the movie. And that movie just transcended my awareness to something that was making me feel more empowered, more joyful, more fun. And it just changed the vibe. So despite all of the pre-frame that I got by watching some scary stuff the night before, I journaled it out the day before, like the next, like right before I went to bed. I basically wrote down it's going to be a smooth flight. I feel so happy and grateful. And then boom, I experienced a really smooth flight. Like 99% of the flight was wonderful. There was like 5 minutes of turbulence. It might have felt longer in the moment, but it was awesome. And I truly am so grateful that I'm here sharing this with you now, because this might help you. If you ever have turbulence on the plane, just remember it's really safe. The analogy that I saw on a TikTok recently was about, it was a flight attendant saying, when you're in the air, it's like you're like in jello, right? Because the wind is protecting you and the airplane, and it's kind of like, there is going to be a little bit of bumps, but because of the trajectory of the airplane, you're safe. So I still love flying. I'm still gonna continue flying, and you know, I believe that what's meant to be is meant to be, for us individually, and just being at peace, knowing that all is well now and in the future, and that when you surrender control to a higher force and connect to that higher force, you will get a feeling of peace. And staying connected to that higher force and asking and thanking God for this present moment, and thanking God for appreciating every moment, this moment of watching a movie, this moment of loving your family, this moment of life that you've been able to experience up until now. And with those feelings of appreciation and gratitude and love and joy and laughter and magic and fun, all of these emotions will stay with you, because that's what you're focusing on. That's what you're giving energy to. And because of those feelings of love, that's what you're giving in that energy, right? So if you're giving fearful energy, people will pick up on that. If you're giving loving energy, people can pick up on that as well. And so all of these things are just a reminder for you to, just be confident in knowing that all is well now and in the future. Be confident knowing that, there's hope available, there's faith available. Any emotion is available in any given moment of time, and it's up to you to choose those feelings. You can choose those feelings from your mind first, by way you're focusing your mind, and then with your heart, right? You focus on, you're watching a movie, you're feeling good, your heart gets into that movie, and then you're going to start feeling better and better as time moves on. And so you know, just appreciate you watching this, and hope this was helpful. Take care.